Echoes of Existence, exploring the profound connections, the purpose behind animal suffering, and humanity's shared journey with all creations. What truly sets us apart from the rest of creation? How do humans differ from animals and other creations? And yet, how are we deeply connected? While both humans and animals, as well as birds, mountains, rivers, insects, and all other creations, were brought into existence by divine wisdom, our paths diverge in profound ways. Animals and other creations exist in a state of fixed awareness, experiencing the world without changing their fundamental nature. In contrast, humans are granted the unique gift and burden of change. But why were we given this capacity for transformation, while animals and other creations were not? The answer lies in the divine purpose behind our existence. Unlike animals and other creations, whose awareness remains constant, we are endowed with the potential for growth, transformation, and the pursuit of understanding the divine. This difference intertwines our journey with God's attributes, urging us to seek completeness. But what does this journey entail, and how does it shape our understanding of ourselves and the divine? To explore this further, let's imagine traveling back to a state of existence before life as we know it began. What would we find? We would encounter God represented through His names, each reflecting a unique aspect of His perfection. These names are categorized into two groups. On one side, there are names that represent singularity and focus on His completeness, marked by rightful arrogance, fueled by anger, and expressed through justice. On the other side, there are names that extend outward, symbolizing God's connection to creation, driven by love and expressed through blessings. But what role do these names play in our existence? In that pre-life state, God's presence was reflected solely through His blessings. These divine names are not merely abstract concepts. They are manifestations of both love and anger. They are evident in three categories. First, names tied to elegance, wisdom, and knowledge, creating the aesthetic wonders we perceive as beauty. Second, names that emphasize God's greatness and authority, such as power and pride, creating justice. And third, names that foster unity and devotion, like mercy, kindness, and generosity. In the other side, we will find us. We were once spiritual entities, united with the divine essence. In our initial state, we lacked the will and awareness necessary to fully grasp the meanings of God's names and blessings. If we extend our visit there, we would discover that at a certain point, we transitioned from unity to singularity, gaining will and awareness of the inevitability of justice. Given that God first created the good names and applied them to Himself, atop which are the names that imply justice. At that stage, we existed in a state of profound ignorance concerning the meanings behind the divine names and the blessings that enveloped us. From that moment, a compulsory journey of awareness commenced for all creation, an awareness first of self and of goodness, and then of others. It is a journey that shifts from singularity towards exploring unity, this time a unity bound by love, rather than the complete, undifferentiated unity of before. This awareness journey involves experiencing beauty, blessings, and goodness to transition from complete ignorance to knowledge of these divine attributes, where this journey includes experiencing the opposite to understand the value of goodness and blessing. Yet, that was not the only journey we needed to explore. There was another optional journey of change. We were given the opportunity to change from one state to another, exploring the chance to achieve a higher state of self-power and consequently incorporate a higher capacity for happiness, although this journey has severe consequences if the change is not fully controlled. For this, trust was offered. So while we were in the state of singularity, all were offered this opportunity. Some, like humans, took the risk and embraced the opportunity to experience divine presence in His image, that is, the complete ability to change everything, including oneself. Those who took this opportunity became responsible and consequently held the trust. Others, like animals and other creations, fearing the risk, proceeded only with the first journey, experiencing singularity awareness and will similar to ours yet unchanged. God said, "Indeed, we offered the trust to the heavens and the earth and the mountains, but they declined to bear it and feared it. But man undertook it. Indeed, he was unjust and ignorant." Surah Al-Ahzab 72. But what does it mean to take this risk? It means that you are mirroring God in his attribute of singularity, where you possess the full, free ability to change everything, starting from yourself to the world around you. You hold the power of change, which is why he created you in his image, granting you the capacity to alter everything if you have the will to do so. To take this risk implies that, by having the power of change, something that was exclusively God's domain, you become his Khalifa, representative, on earth. This means that you will inherit the kingdom of earth and bear responsibility for its destiny, as well as the fate of all those who share this world with you, including all creations that partake in the experience of awareness of God's blessings and names. The choice you make will determine whether you guide the destiny of earth towards justice, mercy, and joy, powered by God's good names, or towards destruction, sadness, darkness, and fear, driven by incomplete arrogance and uncontrolled greed. Now, since many feared to take the opportunity, and only a very few spirits decided to embrace it, logically in the journey of worldly life, the majority of those spirits, animals and other creations, who chose not to take the risk would come into existence first, followed by the emergence of those who chose to take the risk, holding the trust. That is, us humans. God said, "And remember when your Lord said to the angels, 'Indeed, I will make upon the earth a successive authority, Khalifa.' They said, 'Will you place upon it one who causes corruption therein and sheds blood, while we declare your praise and sanctify you?' He said, 'Indeed, I know that which you do not know.'" Surah Al-Baqarah 230. Now, let's return to present life. When we explore early life on earth, we observe the presence of animals and other creations, limited by their spiritual capacity, experiencing singularity, and driven to unity bound by love. They observe the blessing names by experiencing their presence and their absence, causing sufferings, which is presented by the opposite, yet their awareness remains unchanged beyond certain limits fitting their soul capacity. God said, "And there is no creature on earth, nor a bird that flies with its wings, except that they are communities like you." Surah Al-An'am 638. And God said, "And in your own creation and whatever creatures he disperses, there are signs for people who are certain in faith." Surah Al-Jathiyah 45:4. Later we came into existence, experiencing growth in addition to awareness. Part of our journey is to explore the knowledge of knowing him. To enable us to seek to know him while maintaining our freedom and free will, God's wisdom manifests in observing his names and blessings throughout his creation, where his blessing awareness includes the suffering of experiencing the opposite. However, as we maintain the privilege of change, another tragedy was needed in our presence, which is to experience the darkness generated by our seeking to hold the forbidden name related to singularity, which is solely for the complete one. That is arrogance. Arrogance does not generate darkness unless singularity faces deficiency and incompetence. Since God's presence is in the state of completeness, darkness is impossible to be generated by him. Only when arrogance is claimed by the incompetent does darkness generate, starting from envy, as there is always someone greater present than hatred, backbiting, and all other evil names. And that is the consequence for which we hold the trust. As God's goodness and his completeness cannot create nor generate evil, he created only the opposite of blessing for us to observe and experience the actual meaning of his blessings when deprived of them or when we see others hold the opposite and suffer. But evil, which represents the opposite of his names, was not in existence until our presence in this life, where God gave permission for those names to exist, just to show us the virtue of his names so we can be more aware of the need for goodness, appreciate those names, seek to adopt them in our character while growing, and also avoid the consequences of adopting names that only fit the complete. That would result in complete disorder if adopted by the incomplete, resulting in all the destruction and injustice present in the world. We were given the obligation to elevate singularity to the degree of self-esteem and self-confidence, and not cross that beyond this limit, where instead of arrogance, humility was required to be adopted for the incomplete to reach peace, resulting in unity for others to follow. While for God, who is complete, Those names of self-esteem result in tuning power, authority, pride, and integrity that produces following and unity. While God gives us the option to elevate the other two categories to the level we wish, even at its maximum, it will not reach partial perfection. He permitted the singularity traits not to exceed self-esteem and confidence to arrogance, as this trait is limited to the complete. When elevating the category of mercy, that will generate names related to mercy, kindness, and generosity that will create justice, which on God's side will be unity and follow. We all share a common experience and journey, which is awareness. However, the human experience of change is unique and requires special equipment manifested in our awareness system that includes the brain. We all experience happiness, from first experiencing singularity, then experiencing unity, bound by love, yet as independent entities. So all the creations that inhabit Earth started united, dependent, with no awareness nor will, then independent with awareness and will but not united, and then independent, holding awareness and will but united with a bond of love. We are all programmed to attain awareness of blessings, virtuous attributes, of self and of others. This programming is tied to our happiness, where all of creation must fulfill its singular needs, such as self-preservation and continuity. Additionally, there is a need to fulfill the desire for unity and being part of a collective whole. However, for those who take the risk, those who possess the courage to embrace change, happiness extends to mastering self-control through the worship of God and adherence to His commands and prohibitions. Some may question, if unity is a condition of our happiness, then why do creatures consume one another to survive? Why do some animals eat plants, others consume fellow creatures, and humans devour them all for sustenance? Is this not an act of absolute selfishness, driven by ferocious anger? To answer this, one must distinguish between the divine attributes fueled by anger and those powered by love. Singularity traits are linked to attributes driven by anger. To fulfill these attributes, which relate to the self and embody many virtuous qualities, one must experience and channel anger in a way that fuels these traits, thereby fulfilling one's individual nature. Simultaneously, one must experience love, which nourishes unity and the good attributes associated with it. This is why we were not created as a single unified group, but rather as distinct groups. Within one's own group, unity is essential for survival, yet experiencing attributes fueled by anger towards other groups becomes necessary for the survival of the self and one's group. Thus, the first priority is self-preservation, followed by the preservation of the group, all while cultivating an awareness of divine attributes, blessings, and self-awareness. This is the principle governing the existence of those creations that did not embrace the risk and did not hold the trust. However, for the one who holds responsibility, the Khalifa on earth, the story diverges. Bearing the burden of earthly guardianship, he possesses the unique attribute of change. Thus, he must submit to God, adhering to divine guidance to discern the limits of love and anger. This discernment enables him to understand what he must consume for survival, while also knowing the actions necessary to preserve the earth and the other creatures to whom he is bound by mercy and duty, ensuring their continued existence. Anger must indeed be experienced, but it must serve to fuel and empower the virtuous attributes that require such a force to manifest: courage, dignity, pride, resilience, and other strong qualities essential to fulfilling both singularity and unity. In the end, one point deserves to be highlighted that will reveal an important secret. What is the trust that we hold? The trust is linked directly to our journey of change through growth. It is the one that will power us to change, which is the severity to be only for God. In order for change to manifest in our character, we need to unite our fear and hope only to be for God. During our journey of change, many incomplete arrogances will try to control your growth by fearing them and by hoping and seeking their pleasure and security. God said, "And I did not create jinn and mankind except to worship me." Since worldly life is a place of testing, the fundamental trial is regarding servitude. Thus, at every moment in your life, you are in a state of servitude. The more you free yourself from the idols of fear and appeasement that lie in your path, the idols of psychological restraints due to societal and environmental conditioning, the idol of societal opinions, the idol of thought and belief systems, the idol of role models, the idol of media and thought patterns, the idol of social status, and the many other idols along the way. The more your condition changes and your self-confidence grows until you face the greatest idol, which is yourself at the end of the journey. If yourself becomes the greatest, you fall into servitude to it, and arrogance is born within you. But if God is greater, you free yourself from servitude to your ego and attain the greatest change. At this point, you have fulfilled the trust. God said, "Indeed, we offered the trust to the heavens and the earth and the mountains, but they declined to bear it and feared it. But man undertook it. Indeed, he was unjust and ignorant." Surah Al-Ahzab 72. The trust ensures that your servitude during your journey of change is to God alone, with no partners. Your fear and appeasement should come from Him alone, and you prove this with undeniable evidence by being mindful of Him and seeking appeasement from no one other than Him. Proving that you fear Him alone means you activate His entire law within yourself, beginning with your servitude to Him and culminating in the purification of your soul, driven by piety in everything, from your behaviors to your ethics, so that you can control yourself during your journey of change. There are two things you must guard against. The first is Adam's sin, the sin of excessive love for blessings leading to greed, and the second is Satan's sin, the sin of arrogance and the evil that follows. Arrogance, for anyone other than the perfect, is the foundation of all the evil that has emerged in existence. By adhering to God's commands and prohibitions concerning what you eat, drink, and where you live, you safeguard yourself from greed and arrogance. By adhering to these commands, you protect your soul from corruption, ensuring it remains pure. Remember, servitude to God alone leads to true liberation. It frees you from the chains of societal expectations, fear of people's opinions, and the constant chase for validation. The more you distance yourself from these idols, the closer you draw to God, aligning with His divine plan for you. Thus, your journey of change becomes one of inner peace and fulfillment, driven not by external pressures, but by sincere devotion to your Creator. In this process of devotion, you are constantly purifying your soul, aligning it closer to its divine purpose. As you journey forward, you are not just changing yourself, you are shaping your destiny and the destiny of all that surrounds you. The world around you reflects the state of your inner soul. When you are aligned with God's attributes, love, mercy, wisdom, and justice, the world becomes a place of peace and harmony. This is the ultimate purpose of holding the trust, to transform not just your inner self, but also to be a beacon of divine attributes in the world.